Okay, good morning everyone. We're going to report about the peasants and fisherfolks. By the way, I am Ernest Papa.
I am Kirsty Gonzalez.
And let's start with
A peasant is a free industrial and cultural laborer or a farmer with limited land ownership. So, ang peasant, dili kita sila like similar sa farmer. Especially one living in the Middle Ages under feudalism and paying land tax, fees, or services to a landlord. So, ang setup gani ang peasant, kaya di ba more limited lang sila sa land. So, more laborer lang yun sila. Sorry sa argo. So, mauna siya pa lang, ang setup gani kay more serve of landlord.
next fisherfolks. Fisherfolks are the fisher themselves. Their families and other people make up a large group which is dedicated to fishing as a primary source of income. So a fisherfolk is known as a fisherman, and we all know the modern fisherman which is magkuha ng mga isda sa dagat and ibaligyan sa akon, which is nagkakasya food o mga source of income. And next is the
In the Middle Ages, the majority of the population lived in the countryside, and some 85% of the population could be described as peasants. Peasants work the land to yield food, fuel, wool, and other resources. The countryside is divided into estates run by a landlord or an institution, such as monastery or college. A social hierarchy divided the peasantry. At the bottom of the structure were the serfs, who were legally tied to the land they worked. They were obliged both to grow their own food and to labor for the land.
Next is for fisherfolks. Marine fishing in the Philippines is more than an industry. It is a way of life. With the 7,100 islands, the Philippines has the world's longest discontinuous coastline. Over 1 million Filipinos are engaged in marine fishing. Of these, an estimated 800,000 are small-scale fishermen using traditional low-cost techniques, notably net fishing from small boats and the fish coral. The fish coral is a stationary brand that traps the fish in coastline fishing grounds. Traditionally, these techniques have provided small-scale fishermen and their families with a means of subsistence. In the past 2 decades, however, their way of life has been threatened by the rapid commercialization of Philippine water and based the municipal fisherfolk system or the fish R. There are 2.08 million registered fisherfolks, but nearly half of them, which is the 1.3 million fisherfolks, are engaged in culture fishing. And did you know that among the business sector in Philippines, farmers and fisherfolks have the highest poverty incidence? According to 2018 data from the Philippine Statistics Authority or the PSA, farmers have a poverty incidence of 31.6%, while fisherfolks have 26.2%. So this graph shows us kung ang mga contribution ng peasants or the agricultural crops and the fisherfolks, which is the fishing. So the agricultural crops have 51% sa total population, while the fishing have 40% now. So
Years of farming was found to have a significant influence on the prevalence of low back pain, with increasing as years of farming increases. Low back pain was found to be a cause of work absenteeism in this working population. Studies have shown that fishermen have a higher mortality from cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and accidents. The majority of cardiovascular disease is caused by external risk factors such as diet, tobacco, alcohol, and lack of physical activity.
So these are mga sakit na mga possible na makuha ng peasants and fisherfolks. So let's move on to sociological theories.
So, structural functionalism. Social revolution hailed honors but nonetheless specific categories for peasants that distinguished them from the rest of the society. Peasants tended to be distinguished from farmers and produce cash crops primarily for survival and to maintain their social status rather than to invest and expand the scale of their operation. So, ang society galing kay work, so di ba to think na peasants sila like farmers, so dapat mag-stay lang sila ana, dili na sila dapat magawa sa agriculture kay di man sila na field. And in conflict theory, can be used to examine the struggles that peasants may face in relation to other groups in society, such as landlords, governments, or larger corporations. For example, peasants may struggle to gain access to land, water, and other resources that are controlled by these other groups. They may also face discrimination, exploitation, and other forms of oppression. Conflict theory can also be used to analyze the ways in which peasants may resist these forms of oppression and seek to assert their own agency and power. This may involve organizing collectively, forming social movements, or engaging in other forms of resistance. Ultimately, conflict theory suggests that the struggles and conflicts between different groups within a society can lead to social change and the development of new social systems that are more equitable and just. So, ang peasant society gani, nag-remain na siya as part of a pre-capitalist society where the farmers plays the role of the proletariat who were constantly exploited by the bourgeoisie. So according to Karl Marx, nana siya ganang peasants and the revolutionary movement. So according to him, there are two kinds of peasants, the non-revolutionary peasants and the revolutionary peasants. Kaning non-revolutionary peasants, ano ni sila? Kaning kabalo sila, mag-exploit na sila, pero dili gihapon sila mag-seek of justice. Like mag-stay lang gihapon sila sa tao nga sige exploit sa ila, bahala kabalo sila nga. Wala na gyud gani like chance, something na makahawa sila ato may justice. And the revolutionary peasants are the ones who attains consciousness, which results, the one who attains consciousness and then where nag-form sila group para like erase ilang voice, ilang concern, nga na. And yan, nag-result siya na murag ang duha ka grupo na isolate gani, murag nag-kompetansya na noon sila sa mga products instead na magkaisa. So in the symbolic interactionism, the structural symbolic interactionist approach assumes that farmers' role choices, involvement in community affairs depends on the resident identities. The nature of the resident identities is dependent on how large their social networks are and on the character of those relations. For instance, if the resident identities were limited to family concerns, the resident identities usually reflected this. And also, sa labeling theory daw, the word peasant is sometimes associated with ignorant, rude, illiterate, stupid, or even rebel.
So next is the sociological theories in fisherfolks. So sa sexual functionalism can be used to examine the ways in which fisherfolk contribute to the overall functioning of society. For example, sexual functionalism might focus on the economic and social roles that fisherfolk play in providing food and other resources to their communities. It might also examine the cultural and social norms and values that govern the behavior of fisherfolk and how these contribute to the stability and cohesion of the society. So, ang role ng fisherfolk sa society is mag-provide ng food daw na gikan sa dagat or mga something natural resources na makuha nato sa dagat. And mauna ang gina-portray sa ila na pag yun ng fisherfolks kay ay maan sila provide mga mag-produce ng pagkaon sa ato and magtabang sila sa ekonomiya which is ang pagtinda ng mga isda. And sa conflict theory, Marx's view is centered around the idea of class conflict, where differential class relations to the means of production results in conflict between the workers, which is known as the proletariat, and the owners or the bourgeois. In fisheries, the resource is often thought of as a commons with no groups exercising ownership over it. However, there is a much debate on this issue as evident by discussions on the fisherfolk internet news group and in academic literature. And while perhaps there is not ownership of fishery resources in the terrestrial sense, and the agencies act the gatekeepers to the resource. So sa conflict theory, fisherfolks is seen as the proletariat or ubos na level while ang ilang boss or katong mga owners kay usually mga god pag fisherfolks o ako ba na dili nila ginaon ang mga kanang ginagamit nila paglaod or dili nila ginaon ang ilahan ng boat, may tag-iya ana. Tas ang mabuha nila na isda is ginaatag nila dito, tas pag mahalit to, tagaan na sila percent ako, 100% na sa ila lang. So that's why na murag ang owner mo itong ang higher level, while yung mga fisherfolks is ang proletariat. So sa symbolic interactionism, the ways which fisherfolk interpret and make sense of their experiences on the sea can vary widely. Some may view their work as a calling or a way of life, while others may see it simply as a means of earning a livelihood. This different interpretation can shape the relationship and social dynamics within the fisherfolk community, as well as ways in which they interact with the wider world. So, sa symbolic interactionism, ang fisherfolks sa may lain-lain ng pananaw ng tao. So sa uban, let's say na sa fisherfolks, ang ila is, ang trabaho nila as fishermen is calling sa ila, which is dila sila nabilong, dila sila mas productive, or dila sila mas hiyang. While ako ba ng pananaw sa ila, ay kana nila makaya, kana ang nagkuwala sa isbilahan, kana ang ilang trabaho, kana ang ilang source of income. That's why mubo ang pananaw ng ubang tao sa fishermen. So let's move on sa specific analysis.
So, land ownership is nothing but the ownership of one or more rights, and thus a landowner is merely he or she that has the most rights among all others. This leads to many possibilities. Rights can overlap with causing problems or be in contradiction with one another. So, socialists generally argue that private property relations limit the potential of the productive forces in the economy. That productive activity becomes a collective activity, where the role of the capitalist becomes redundant. So, political stability, government capacity to administer and enforce private property rights, constraints on political decision makers, and the impossibility of political and legal institutions. So, I don't know if familiar mo sa KMP or the Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas. KMP is a democratic and militant movement of landless peasants, small farmers, farm workers, and peasant women. Kung ano siya ang KMP, mura ka rin siya revolutionary movement. KMP unites with all oppressed and exploited classes, and also KMP is an example because they fight for the interests and aspirations of the entire Filipino people. For the past years, 30 plus something, KMP struggles for land, justice, and freedom, and for an action, former President Corazon Aquino implemented CARD, or the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, which covered all public and private agricultural lands. It also included public domain lands that were suitable for agriculture. It sought to redistribute land not only to farmers but also to other landless or farm workers. And in 2009, CARPER was implemented. It's just basically CARP, pero naano siya ER, which means extension with reform. It's the amendatory law that extends yet again the deadline of distributing land in farmers for 5 years. And CARPER is also much better than CARP because it comes with beneficials. Indigenous people has grown rapidly, but they are still perhaps the most disadvantaged segment of the world's population. Among the many factors contributing to the ignoble title, indigenous peoples and their advocates have identified the rights to the lands they occupy as a key issue. Scholars and indigenous peoples themselves argue that rights to lands and resources are property rights that are prerequisites for the physical and cultural survival of indigenous communities. Spiritual. Disputes over ownership often seem to lie at the center of much human conflict. Those who consider themselves dispossessed confront those who control land ownership. Environmental. Indigenous people are often those most vulnerable to environmental threats in their territories. Their rights are continuously being violated when economic and political interests take over their lands for exploitation. Environmental harm near their territories can also cause their living standards to deteriorate. Gender. Secure land rights for women are often correlated with better outcomes for them and their families, including greater bargaining power at household and community levels, better child nutrition, and lower levels of gender-based violence. However, in many parts of the world, both men and women have inadequate access to secure rights over land. Women are particularly disadvantaged in this regard.
So next is overfishing. Overfishing is catching too many fish at once. So the breeding population becomes too depleted to recover. Overfishing often goes hand in hand with wasteful types of commercial fishing that hold in massive amounts of aquatic fish or other animals which are then discarded. So overfishing, kabalo na taan ito kung sa diba, kay gamit siya ako na isabot sa mga fisherfolks. Kaya magkuha o mga isda na sobra na or ganang mabig, mga gagmay lang pa o nila apil or ganang nag-abuse na sila sa dagat. So in social, overfishing plays a major role in social life as well. When fisheries overfish, the waters become depleted of resources, with humans having become across the for generations. Many families pass down the fishing lifestyle is so a way of life changes for many cultures around the world. Also, many jobs are lost, and because of shows like Dutch on television, the fishing lifestyle may look more appealing to a larger group of people, which constantly influences more people to go out and fish the waters dry. So in social lenses, we can say na if ang isa ka pamilya, for example, ang iyang parents is nag-overfish, ang bata nila is nakakita sila na inana, tapos paisip na mata ay okay, inana ginahimo na ilang parents, so maupod na ginahimuon, and as days go by, kung musunod sa piyapak ang anak nila, which is dili sakto ang muon, ma-change ang culture or ang tradition na gina-preserve ng ato community. In political lens, the world's oceans are not empty space. They are constantly being shaped by politics, policies, and people. Overfishing, marine pollution, aquaculture, deep sea mining, conservation, and other human activities in the ocean are increasing. And decisions about these issues are guided by powerful actors and organizations. So sa political, may rule siya na ina-portray sa fisherfolks, which is ang pag-implement ng mga rules and mga services na makabenefit ang mga fishermen. And tanan activities na ginabuhat nila sa dagat, or which is mga abusive na activities, na is guided siya by powerful actors, which is ang mga political. Sa economic, overfishing is when people reduce a population by catching too much. Which goes beyond damage the ecosystem. It can result in the food crisis and also the employment for some of our 6 million who work directly and indirectly in the fishing industry. The impact of overfishing is mostly on the marine environment, but the economy can also be affected immensely. So, if we do overfishing, dili lang ang environment ang madaot, which is affected sa pang-economic kay if madaot na siya, then pag-result siya sa parang wala na makuha ng isda. So, mag-need siya sa gamay na lang ang source of food nato, which is mga isda, gamay na lang, which is umahal, then magkatugay po, loss of employment kay, syempre, magkatugay, wala na sila magpa, ako bang di naganahan ng dagat, which is maghanap na ng trabaho kay wala na isda sa dagat. So sa cultural, when too many fish are taken out of the ocean, it creates an imbalance that can erode the food web and lead to a loss of other important marine life, including vulnerable species like sea turtle and corals. Filipinos believe in the mythical story about the Sirenas and Shokoy. These characters are equivalent of mermaids and mermen. In Filipino culture are known as the Bantay Tubig or the guardian of water. So, sa atong culture, if magmalami nagkuha ng isda sa dagat, and so, syempre, kung malami na, makuha man siya ng isda, and then, pag wala na sila makuha, ang Pilipinos magnitay na ay, mas nagpalusahan sila ng mga bantay tubig, kay nag-abuse na sila sa dagat. So, that's how cultural lens views na this overfishing na. issue. One is spiritual. Christian Science, founded by Mario Baker Eddy, presents a spiritual view of the environment and all of God's creation, instead of despairing at reports of polluted and declining waters with fish, other aquatic species, and humanity all striving to survive. It presents creation as the Bible describes in an association of harmoniously existing ideas of divine life, infinitely expressed in God's love and made and totally spiritual environment. Kanya siyang ismikit sa Genesis chapter 1. It provides an understanding of divine law that makes it possible to change through prayers and the condition that seems to distress you. Sa environment, improved technology, increasing demand, and poor management mean that the fish population will come and reduce, having fishing pressure and become depleted, or even collapse with it. The fish in the pool will all fishing include certain stocks of popular species such as food, and tuna, and longtooth. Slow to mature species such as sharks and deep sea fish. The environmental issue outlined here can have an indirect impact as well. This may be wide view-ranging and often unpredictable, affecting ocean life through food availability, competition between species, and predator-prey interaction. So we all know how mag-overfish sila is not good sa ating environment, so makababa din siya and daghan siya maapektuhan. So sa gender, in 2014, women accounted for about 50% of the workforce in fisheries and aquaculture, when the secondary elements such as processing and trading are included. This resilience is significant given that sectors support the livelihood and approximately 10 to 12% of the world's population are central in global food and nutrition security. And yet, women in developing countries face substantive challenges to engage in and benefiting equitably from these sectors, and they are a combination of factors including limited to and control over assets and resources, constraining gender norms, time, and labor burdens of unpaid work, and barriers to sustaining entrepreneurship. The result is women having fewer opportunities and receiving smaller returns from fisheries and aquaculture than men, including lower income and legal level position of poverty. So, we all know na women is like the game to delay na pag mga na women ay delay na kaya na sa work ay which is murag naman na opportunity na ihatag sa ilang pero ginalundaw bitaw sila kay babae lang. That's why na mas daghan ang nakuha ng men compare sa women. So climate change.
So peasants and fisherfolks sa climate change. In common usage, climate change describes global warming, the ongoing increase in global average temperature, and its effects on Earth's climate system. Climate change in a broader sense also includes previous long-term changes to Earth's climate. The current rise in global average temperature is more rapid than previous changes and is primarily caused by humans burning fossil fuels. So, di ba we all know, kung sa kadako ang climate change or global warming, kung sa na siya kadako na threat sa ato. Wherein, kita na po ang biggest reason nga nung nag-occur ang climate change. So, certain groups are vulnerable to this crisis. One of the root causes of their vulnerability is their geographical location. Their financial situation depends on the stability of their products. If climate change occurs, what would be their source of income? So, for example, like farmer ka, tapos, or like fisherfolks, di ba ang ilang main source of income kay ang dagat? So, kung mag-climate change, like, so kayong ulan or mag-storm, kung sa paman, asa man sila mangitag source of income na naapektuhan sa climate change. And so, in the political lens, in the absence of well-designed and inclusive policies, climate change mitigation measures can place a higher financial burden on poor households and sectors. So, di ba, sa climate change kay mas naapektuhan din ang mga pobre. And similarly, if not designed in collaboration with greatly affected areas, approaches such as limiting forestry activities severely impacts indigenous communities that depend on agricultural livelihood. In economic lands, the production and use of goods can deplete natural resources and generate pollution. In addition to the scale of consumption increasing income, the composition of what people consume changes, which could either exacerbate or offset their environmental footprint and the market fails. So, diba, if malasa ng ilang source of income, di ba, maapektuhan rin ka ng atong economic. Diba? So, culture is also a resource for climate change adaptation because of cultural heritage. Natural heritage and traditional knowledge also support the resilience of communities to respond to climate change impacts, including extreme weather, natural disasters, and conflicts. Researchers have also highlighted the effects of climate shocks and resulting resource availability and conflict, which also shapes cultural traits. Spiritual. Religion is also important for climate change. Relevant behaviors including fertility choices or whether one sees climatic change as due to human action or related to policy and human choice. Ang kanang religion, meron nagkaubigan sila nga lang, kung ang imo gibuhat kay sala, so mubalik din siya sa imo. So, murag sala, yun hapon na to ang climate change, which is true. So, environmentalists. Farmers came into conflict with scientists and environmentalists over water allocation or species protection and community support big business and mining companies that threaten the local environment that affects the farmers. Some environmental effects are drought and heat waves. So, di ba, like, constant floods, gusto ay gabi-gabi ang na-effect sa mga sa agricultural field. Gender. So, since women and men are affected by climate change differently, this has been attributed to women's limited access to weather forecasts and limited available options for current livelihood and diversification. So, kung siya na-study, na-study siya sa Nepal, like they claim na women and men are affected by climate change differently. So, consequently, there is a difference in adaptive capacities and vulnerabilities to climate change of men and women in agriculture. So, kaya lahi man sila, murag na apektuhan sila differently, lahi-lahi sa danilang pag-cope sa climate change. According to Fisher and Cars in 2022.
So poverty is state or condition in which a person or community lacks the resources and essential for minimum standards of living. Poverty-stricken people and families might go without proper housing, clean water, healthy food, and medical attention. So, kabalo na ako ng sa poverty, di ba? Which we discussed na lecture sa last meeting. So, in social lens, from a social perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolks might be analyzed in terms of social structures and systems that contribute to their disadvantaged position. This could include factors such as the distribution of wealth and power within society, as well as social norms and values that shape how people are treated and valued. So in political lens, from a political perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolks might be analyzed in terms of the policies and practices of governments and other political actors that impact their well-being. This could include issues such as land ownership, access to resources, and the protection of workers and rights. So political, so mga powerful actors or mga organizations is nag-implement niya mo sila rules and mga law which is maka-benefits and peasants and fisherfolks. So let's move on to economic. From economic perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolks might be analyzed in terms of the economic conditions and systems that shape their ability to earn a livelihood. This includes factors such as the availability of jobs, the level of wages, and the stability of the local economy. So, sa economic perspective, and poverty is na siya na-impact when it comes sa mga fishers and peasants kay di ba, gina-degrade sila na yung meron daw ilang income. Dapat yun siya na impact sa economic kay hindi siya fully na ang income na wala yan is hindi fully na mailaw, which is na parang di ba, remember sila after retirement sa conflict. So, from a cultural perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolk might be analyzed in terms of the cultural values and beliefs that shape how they are viewed and treated by others. This would include issues such as stigma and discrimination based on ethnicity, gender, and other cultural factors. So, cultural, di ba? Okay, di ba marami may naka-attach na dahil sa stigma ng pag peasants or fisherfolks, bunuan, baba, or kubre, or walay makaya, and sa inanan na issue is maka-result sa discrimination and other na mga pagdaog-daog sa ila, and mga na-approach ng Pilipino when pakawagin sila o peasants and fisherfolks. Sa from a spiritual perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolk might be analyzed in terms of the impact it on people's sense of meaning and purpose in life. This would include issues such as the role of religion and other spiritual practices in helping people cope with poverty and find hope and resilience. So, sa ato, isa is na yung tayo na pagtuo or belief, and as well sa peasants and sa fisherfolks, parang na sila mga faith or mga meaning or kaya purpose nila life na nag-hold na ay makalaman nila ay conquer nila, overcome nila talang challenges na ilang face. So sa from environmental perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolk might be analyzed in terms of ways in which environmental conditions and resources shape their ability to earn a livelihood. These could include issues such as the access to land, water, and other natural resources, as well as the impact of environmental degradation on people's well-being. Sa environmental, syempre, kung as ang masiyang or as ang masuol, dito sila nagtuyo. Which is wala kasi siguraduhan kung clean or kung safe ba ang ilang place. Basta ang ilang punto lang is makapuyo sila sa dool o kung asa sila makahanap ng ilang income. So, sa from a gender perspective, poverty among peasants and fisherfolk might be analyzed in terms of ways in which gender shapes people's experiences of poverty and their ability to access resources and opportunities. This could include issues such as discrimination and inequities based on gender, as well as gender division of labor and responsibilities within families and communities. So, balik din sa issue about poverty, and kung sa gender na lens, na-joke yung competition between women and men, which is ang women ang dinadegrade na kalaghanan, yung walay daw makayo. So, sa programs and services.
The Philippine Agrarian Reform Program under Republic Act 6657, the Masagana 99, the National Honor Programs of Department of Agriculture and Rice, Corn, High-Value Crops, Livestock and Organic Agriculture, the Sikat Saka Program, the Sulong Saka Program, Sagip Saka Act.
So sa fisherfolks, there are banned fishing subsides, adapt right-based fishery management, skilling, marketing, training, and assistance, along with concessional loans, special tax treatment on investment other than for capital in fishing business, enforcement of regulation, up-to-date data collection, and monitoring of fish stocks, agricultural capacity. So these subsidies are intended to promote fishing in industrial and small-scale entities, typically helping to supplement income or lower cost. The deal involved utility subsidies that support IUUF, harvesting overfish stocks, and rules on fishing on high seas beyond the International Fisheries Management Organization. Fishermen and their communities benefit from well-managed fisheries too because they're more lucrative and reliable. So sa agricultural na kamasa is the key component of government agenda to eradicate poverty. This poverty eradication strategy of President Estrada involves equitable and sustainable development and focus on eating through programs and address the needs of specific disadvantaged groups. So let's move on to science and communication.
So land provides the basis for food production and is an indispensable input for economic livelihoods in rural areas. Land ownership is strongly associated with social and economic power not only across communities and households but also within households. And also because agriculture plays a significant role in the Philippine economy. Pero the Philippines is an agricultural country, di ba? Pero na-realize lang po na ako it was said that the Philippines is slowly falling behind other ASEAN countries to think na ang agricultural country ang Pilipinas. And try to think that there is 9.67 agricultural area in the Philippines that is about 30% sa Pilipinas, sa entire area sa Philippines. And there are approximately 5 million farmers. And the reason for that is the insufficient public investments for agrarian development, inadequate action, climate change, and also because fewer and fewer people wanted to engage themselves in agricultural activities and that they seek other career outside farming, which results to as a result, the average age of Filipino farmers is 53, which means that the productivity per farmer are expected to fall, especially for such physically demanding products. And that our peasants, our farmers are continuously facing these kind of issues just to feed a country that does not always appreciate them.
Next is for still fishery management is key to preventing overfishing. These measures can include bans on fishing, such as minimum catch sizes, what type of fishing gear is allowed, conservation efforts for endangered species, and monitoring and control over the areas in which these activities occur. So, may mga policies or may mga rules na i-implement para ma-preserve nato ang mga natural resources na nakatala, which is katong di ba nga na ating saan ay ng law na himo about sa po kung saan kadagpo or ang makuha na isda or dili pwede kuhaon sa tumagang may kadyo. And also, mga fishing gear na kung pwede ang dili or kung saan dili pwede. Thank you.